Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. Thank you for stopping by. This is B Moment here again on your screen. Thank you for clicking this video. If this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe, join this beautiful family, and you can check out other videos on this channel. It's all about self-development, Christian living, and vlogs. Yes, so let's get right into it. As you can see from the title of the video, we're going to be talking about boundaries, why boundaries are important, what they are, how to enforce it, and just in a nutshell, everything that you need to know about boundaries. Now, moving forward, what is the meaning of a boundary? What is the meaning of boundaries? Boundary is something that points to an end of a thing or a limit. Now, let me give you a literal example. So when you open a student account, right, a student account, the limit to how much money you can have in that account could be 500,000, it could be 300,000, depending on the bank, right? And one thing I know is that if you have like 250 remaining, right, and then someone sends 100,000 into that account, the bank would not give you access to that account. Because why? The limit to that account, the end to how much money that can come in into that account is 300,000. So you don't have access, and that's the consequences of pushing beyond someone's boundaries or pushing beyond the limit to a thing. And even in life as a whole, when you're pushing beyond your limits, although I know sometimes it's good, go beyond your limit. If you want something, you have to push for it, you have to get it. Sometimes you get burnt out, you feel overwhelmed, you're excessively stressed, and that's not what we need. So now boundaries are there to like make one feel secure and comfortable. Now, in every sphere of your life, you need boundaries. At work, you need boundaries. Between you, your friends, your family, you need boundaries. And these boundaries could be material. Maybe, okay, if you want to take my thing, let me know. If you want to go to my freezer and eat something, let me know. Don't wear my clothes without telling me. And it could also be when it comes to work. I'm not going to reply any emails past 5 p.m. Once it's 5 p.m., close your laptop and you leave 9 hours a day. Every day is a lot. It's a lot of hours and it's a lot of work, right? So I don't see why maybe your boss should be calling you every single day. Once it's 5 days, something urgent that is happening. No, you can actually enforce that boundaries. It could also be when it comes to maybe boundaries can also be, okay, I don't like hugs, don't hug me, da 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 da. You can shake me and all of that. I know someone that didn't like hugs for a long period of time. And it doesn't mean the person doesn't care about you. In fact, they could be the nicest person, but they don't just like hugs, right? And why you're always trying to hug them, or why you're always trying to know what they're going to do or rattle them off. So yes, we actually all need boundaries. Now, to get people to actually respect your boundaries, you need to know them. Because if you know them, then you can enforce them. If you don't know them, then you can't enforce them. And to be honest, you don't expect people to just know what you don't or do not like. You have to be able to communicate that effectively. And how do you even get to communicate it? By knowing these boundaries, right? And honestly, you don't need to start over explaining yourself or even explaining why you do not actually want a certain thing to be done, or why this is your boundary. For example, you don't need to start explaining to someone, oh, I don't like hugs. Why or not a person will not like hugs is not something they need to explain to you. Or why someone doesn't want to keep working after 5 p.m. Is that simple. You have your personal life, you have your self-care, you have your, alone time, you want to pray. So figure out what your boundaries are. And how do you figure these things out? By being intentional about it. Now, you might be watching this video and trying to figure out what exactly are my boundaries, right? First of all, how do you actually get to know them? Now, you have to get a pen and a paper, right? And from today, you can start writing things down. And then you take a moment to reflect. What are the things that made you feel uncomfortable, anxious, insecure, overwhelmed? These are the questions you ask, and whatever that might be, just write it down. What are the things that made you feel very, very, very stressed, that overstretched you, and you do not like them? Things that made you feel insecure. You have to actually write them down. Just think about the things that has happened in the past and you write them down. And then if you can't really think about things, then moving forward, as it happens, you can go back and write it down. That's why journaling is good. It will help you keep track of all the things that you need to keep track of, right? And this one is very, 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 very important. Trust me when I say that if you don't know them, you can't communicate them, then nothing is going to be done about it. Because like I said earlier, you don't expect people to just assume that, oh, this is your boundary, maybe you don't like it. Who would know that you don't like hugging? Because people love to hug, even if it's a side hug, right? Now, when you finish asking yourself all these questions, what are the things that make you feel stressed, anxious, etc., then you can now know that, okay, these are the things, these are the situations, or these are the things that maybe a friend or colleague or whatever does that made you feel uncomfortable. It could be that at work you actually like to eat alone, because to you that's your alone time, right? And then there's this colleague that always wants to come and start talking to you about one thing or the other, and you're uncomfortable about it. What you should do is that you should just calmly walk up to the person and be like, oh, okay, you can even say you apologize, just to make the person not feel bad, right? Because this can be communicating your boundaries, can be very touchy. So you can be like, okay, I want to tell you something, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way, but I really like it when I eat alone, because at that point when I'm eating, I'm actually reflecting. There's a lot coming into my mind, and I just need that alone time in the office, right? And to be honest, you don't always get an alone time in the office. There's always something, whether it's online or offline, but there's always something. So maybe that's your chance, right? And even if this person wants to join you, if it's possible that they can keep their mouth shut and not tell you anything, not speak to you, just eat, that's okay, right? So far, you can still think, and then they are not so bothered about, oh, how can I sit with you and not speak to you, right? If they can do that, I think that works. So for someone like me, I actually like eating alone, because sometimes I don't want to talk when I'm eating at work, because I'm reflecting, or I'm just chilling and I don't want to speak to you until I'm done eating. So yeah, either ways, whatever it is, or maybe your family members are always asking you some weird personal questions, you can go ahead and tell them, oh, look, I don't like it when you ask me these questions. I feel somehow, I do this, I do that. Or maybe you're in a relationship and you've started to abstain. So when it comes to the whole, let's say, abstaining thing, or keeping yourself for God to get married, is a very wise decision to make. I feel like this is something you should tell this person even before entering into the relationship, because people think that once they're in a relationship with you, they do anything anyhow. Come to my house whenever you want. A boundary could be, I do not want you to come to my house whenever you want. Let me know before you come to my house. Because I know there's so many gists out there. People going to people's houses when they do not invite them because we're in a relationship. That's not how it works. And then also saying, oh, I want to keep myself. And then if that person doesn't respect it, you need to walk away. Because if you boundaries are things that need to be sort of enforced every day, because they can be easily broken. To get people will always try to push beyond your boundaries, and when you see that someone is consistently trying to push beyond your boundaries, then that person doesn't respect you, they don't love you, and to be fair, you have to cut them off, because you cannot make yourself feel uncomfortable because of someone else. That is actually not the way to go with life. Your comfort should come first, right? What makes you happy? And there are people out there that want what you want. There are people out there that will not try to hug you. There are people out there that could be your best friend that you could tell, or someone that maybe you just got into a new workplace and you just communicated that, oh, I like to eat alone. And then once it's time, it doesn't bother you, person leaves you alone, it will make you even feel more comfortable with this person, right? Way more. At some point, you might even decide to be eating with this person and you don't even say anything, right? Because I mean, they're married couples, it's as if they are always in their space. But one thing I realized from some of the videos I've watched is that even when they are together, they find a way to have their alone time and sometimes just reflect without having to, talk to your partner. You could be in the same room, but you guys are not like speaking because you're reflecting or you're doing something. And this is just your alone time, really. It makes you feel secure, comfortable, and security comes with freedom for you to express and be happy in who you are. So right, these are why boundaries are very, very important, because if people keep breaking your boundaries and you keep letting them do that, at some point it's as if who you are fizzles away. It's like you lose your identity completely, right? And how long can you live like that? One day you might bust out, and it might not be their fault because probably you did not know what your boundaries are, or you did not communicate your boundaries. So learn to communicate no matter how hard it is. You need to tell the person, oh, I don't appreciate you doing this. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel uncomfortable, you know, da da da. Just say something calmly, gently. Tell them how you feel. Someone that loves you would not want you to feel terrible because of what they are doing. Also, when it comes to enforcing your boundaries, aside from communicating it to this person, you also need to do something about it on your own end. For example, when after work and someone keeps calling you for something, at some point you have to stop picking the person's call. Put your phone on DND. It's that simple. If you have a friend that's always trying to call you during your personal time, maybe you've decided that you don't want to pick calls after 10 o'clock because you want to pray, you want to reflect, maybe you're having your bath, you want to do your skincare, pray, reflect, go to sleep, and someone is always trying to speak to you at that time, then you need to not pick the person's call up. So at some point, just put your phone on DND, put it on airplane mode, or even if someone is always trying to maybe hug you, for example, and you don't want to make the person feel bad. It doesn't work that way. You need to be like, oh, no, 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 sorry, I've told you before, I don't like hugs. Don't just allow the person to hug you, then you say, oh, but I've told you I don't like. Don't even allow it to happen in the first place, because one thing with human beings is that they can't help themselves. They will push as much as they can beyond that bound. They will push beyond that boundaries. And sometimes not because they love you, because they don't care about you, but because sometimes they just forget. Some people are very intentional, they don't really care. But then there are some people who actually care, so they forget. So it's left for you to enforce. So you don't go ahead and tell someone, oh, I like it when I don't speak when I'm eating because I'm reflecting or thinking. So if you want to join me, that's fine, but let's just be quiet. After that we can talk. And then fine, that day goes, it went well. Then the next day the person wants to speak to you, and then you speak to the person. No, you have to keep enforcing these boundaries every day for them to get acquainted with it. That's the way to enforce your boundaries, right? So whatever it is you say you don't want them to do, don't indulge in it when they actually do it, because when you do, you send another message, which is the one they even want to hear, right? Which is they don't want that thing you're saying, right? So when you tell people, or when you communicate your boundaries, you also have to enforce it. And yes, before I end this video, I want you to know also that if you are communicating your boundaries to someone, be ready to, respect their own boundaries. Some people are very funny. They'll say things like, oh, you don't take my stuff without telling me, but then they will take your stuff without telling you. That's not how life works. If you want people to respect your boundaries, you have to respect their boundaries. That thing you don't want someone to do to you, don't do it to them, right? Do unto others what you want them to do unto you. It's a golden rule for a reason. It is very, very, very important. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much. Share this video please to your friends, to your family, share it on your social media, and like it. Drop a comment for me, tell me what you feel. If there are any other ways you feel like people can enforce their boundaries, things that people have done that you don't like, that you feel like, oh, this is actually my boundary, for someone crossed it. Just you can share your experience in the comment section. whatever it is you want to drop. You can tell me how nice this video was, right? Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.